Okay.
All right, welcome everyone to this Q&A with Carolina, the director of Rebel Objects. I'm really excited to have this conversation
Mhm.
with you. So thank you for being here and taking time out of your day.
No, thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the invitation. It's really nice to keep sharing the movie, even if we are not able to go, but to share with people, new audiences is the important.
Yeah, yeah. So I think to start off the sort of conversation about the film is the thing that I feel like really informs the structure of your film is your relationship with Ifihina and how you all sort of meet and build a relationship. And she has her own experience with her father. And then you all each have your own disciplines of anthropology and archaeology. And so I'm first just really curious about how you all came together, how you built that relationship, and then how it sort of informed the way that you approach the film and including her writing throughout the film.
Thank you, Kayla. Really, really important question because, in fact, really the knowing this archaeologist, Iphigenia, was really like this detonation, no, the detonator, or I don't know how to say in English, of the film. I think really of the idea, no, because we
Mm,
start always with this idea or this new universe that opens to you, and really she opened for me like the world of archaeology. And as
mhm,
you say, even it's like someone said that we there is a projection, no, like me in also in her life and her life in mine, or we try to, we were like in these parallel moments a little bit in our life. And it was really really nice because it was a friend of my mother that told me like, oh, you know, there is this great archaeologist that is coming back to Costa Rica to live here again, and well, you two, you are just coming and you are looking for like doing something, you know, and why not meet her, maybe she knows, you know, it could be like a good contact. And so we met, and as you say, we became like friends, you know. First, like
yeah.
I think in the films it's really nice when there is always a strong relationship that you build, or I like to work like that.
Mhm,
And yeah, it become really emotional also, the, you know, the relationships, because she started losing like her mother died, and like in the process she had also like things that happen in the personal life. And because I became involved with her like in the friendship, well, those moments were also like important for me then, you know. So and yes, also another thing that was important was like the blog she writes,
mm,
because all the text, all this like more, I think there is different characters, or we all have different characters in the life, like. And she has one that is this archaeologist, but that has this like also poetical, philosophical point of view, and that was really interesting for me. And then the text that she writes in this blog were really inspired for me. And then there were also like these really elements really important for the script of the film, and for this like more poetical archaeology metaphor. um, yes.
yeah, yeah. I found those elements to be so interesting. And I think that actually flows really well into the next two questions that I had. I'm going to break them up so it's not like too much at one time.
Okay.
Um, but the first question was kind of inspired by the point when you're sharing Sam Lathrop's notes, and he says in his notes, or you say in the text, or that the spears have been moved from their original place. And there's just this continued theme of displacement and sort of plundering more specifically throughout the film. There's the displacement of the history of Indigenous people and their lives and contributions, but then also your own displacement from Costa Rica when you left as a child. And so I'm first curious to hear what it was like for you kind of returning to Costa Rica and making a film at a place that is like a home for you, but had not been for a long time, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. No, it made completely sense. Really, really good question, because I was like just reading the notes I have also for in the film, and um, I put something here. Just I'm looking because it's really funny. Um, Really, that thing of the displacement of my own and the ones of the spheres. Not everybody arrives to that. Is really really good analysis in that idea, because it was a thought in the script, to because I had also this projection, or I projected things of my life with these objects,
Mhm.
even if they may be so ancient and everything, but I that was the exercise I did, no.
Yeah.
So in fact, that it was really important that two things together. And wait, because I wanted to I want yes, this idea of original place also, because
Mhm.
of course in this case, we think, and there are also objects really like difficult to move, so I
Yeah.
think that the places where these indigenous people put those stones, in fact they were important places,
Mhm.
and indeed it was really really impressive to see these notes of these archaeologists, and to see all these traces of this knowledge and all the things we have could known, and because of these places we lost that. And so that was a point really important also in the film, and in my case also, because when I was 12 and I moved from Costa Rica to Belgium, and I had a really strong mother, and it was a process of migration, not so difficult, in some ways. But when I became older, I how to say, I realized that displacement, yes, it moved things in my life and in my way to see the world and the life. And it was really interesting to come back here years after, and the film was really a way also to get closer and to understand this change in my life, and to get closer also to the history of my country, because those years that I was far away, well, you become also emotionally more distant maybe with that history. So it was also something that let me became closer and understand better this part of the world, this country, and my like also like this childhood territory, like this territory of childhood that also always is in an imaginary, in a particular imaginary, because it's like near to your childhood. So I think also there is something about that.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. And I think something that I also found really interesting that's sort of connected to this, that the film sort of is making the point about throughout it, is sort of archaeology and history and kind of the construction of it, and the construction of myths, and the continued sort of thought that aliens are the ones who potentially created these spheres, and this isn't something that's like particular to these spheres. It's kind of like a thing that's an issue in a whole lot of other things. And so, but then you also really connect it more specifically to Costa Rica's attachment to whiteness. And so I'm just curious, in particular, there's a clip that you use where some with the it's like an ad, it feels like, from maybe the mid 20th century, that's like cozy and simple with a white and cultured population. So I wanted to hear more of your thoughts on that in particular, but also that ad, and maybe how you found some of those pieces that really emphasize how much of this is a construction, the idea of the fact that people before colonization could not have created
Mhm.
something with as much meaning and um,
Yeah, that's really an important part, and is I read for my research for one work I did before in anthropology, like we in Costa Rica there was a manipulation of certain like in the beginning of the states, or it's called to say that these numbers statistics
Mm,
in the statistics in the beginning of like the independence of Costa Rica, to put that there were more white people than indigenous or black people, you know. So and they spoke about this whitewashing or white supremacy that was like imposed in this building of the national Costa Rican spirit, you know,
mm,
because I think that every country, like after colonization, we had to invent, you know, a new identity completely, and there was like this. Some countries tried like this politics to we have to integrate indigenous population to the civilization,
mm,
and all these ideas, you know, were really strong in that moment. So I was interested in I'm always interested like in archives, in like footage and found footage, because these like this historical document that
yeah,
is so normal that they say, oh, they speak English, Spanish so well, you know. It's like it's even funny because it's like so uh, now we maybe realize that it's really like racist and everything, you know, but in that moment it was like, oh no, yes, it's so white and beautiful Costa Rican country, and it's something that it has its consequences until today, you know. There is a lot of problems with the lands and the indigenous territories. I think there is something that is still in the present, you know,
mhm,
and um, yeah, it was important for me to use also those archives that are in the National Center here of Cinema, and give them also new meanings, and use also that historical material, no. um, and I don't know what I had another idea to say, but because you said something at the end of your question. Wait, to search my idea. Yeah, it was. What did you say at the end of the question?
um,
Or what?
oh, what did I say at the end? I think I was asking about sort of the like alien
Ah,
attachment,
yeah.
that aspect of it that you
Yes.
explore.
No, as you say, something that happened in a lot of countries where I think there is this ideological feel like battle, you know, between, as you say, Occidental
Mm,
world and those civilizations that uh, they say, yeah, of course, it's not possible that they have done that. So hey, aliens are the answer, you know. But it's something that is really that sells a lot. Also, like is this
mm,
idea of aliens, and for me, it was also interesting to explore because I think is also part of human thought. You know, it all of course is in a is a I put it in a critical way, of course, because some of that has these colonization ideas, but in another way is also like part of our human ways of seeing the world. You know, we believe in aliens. A lot of people like to watch those programs.
yeah.
So really it's like a genre of cinema and a lot of things. So it was also interesting to explore that, and to think how is a colonized way of seeing things, no, of course. Mhm.
Yeah, it's like really deconstructing the very colonial way of thinking that, whiteness is white people were the only people who had the ingenuity and talents to do X amount of things. So I think we'll
Mhm.
shift a little bit into talking about sort of the way that you structured the film,
Mhm.
kind of these three chapters of returning, identity, and death. And I think something that's really interesting to me is that the way you represent the relationship with your father is like partially through objects as well. The when you talk about his email to you with the photo from Disney, the photographs that he gives you, and then towards the end after he's passed away, and you say like the body becomes an object.
Mhm.
So I'm just curious to hear more about how you sort of chose to represent him, and also the work that you did to sort of weave all of these very like historical and physical and personal histories together throughout the editing process, because I think it's something that looks very easy, but I feel like was definitely probably a really hard process to figure out what moments, what beats would work best for what moments. And I think it turned out really beautifully. So I'd love to hear you
Um,
discuss that.
Thank you. I'm just taking some notes. So first, um, first, yeah, I think one thing I had clear at the beginning, because you change a lot of the process, was the importance of objects, like
Mm,
in all the film, like this, like was the first character, the protagonist were objects, was one
mm,
of these, like, with the producer Alexandra, that she's really very good producer also, and she helped me in some creative exercises. So
mm,
like to put sometimes not rules that um, keep of the creativity, but some rules that keep a path, like to build something that has like a coherent, like coherence, like a same mood to say. And one of them also was, okay, the importance of objects in everything. And the story with my father at the beginning was not like so linked in the final script of the film. It was really when he became when the cancer became more difficult, was really like life became start waving things
mm,
together first, like
yeah.
um, so when we got like the money of the fund for filming the film, was the year like my father was really bad.
Mm,
So everything was going together, no? So we had to go filming, and all that things were happening in my personal life. And there, really during the filming, I start to feel like, oh wow, I have to speak about this also, because the returning thing was part of it, but all the thing with my father and what I was, I think when you work with images and sound, also the things that you live in your daily life. I don't know, I have these uh, images, like a thought, really visual thought, well,
yeah.
all we have, but I don't know, I have really sometimes images that just stay in my head, and I have to do something with them. If not,
Mhm,
I don't know, it's something that is really like physical. And all the images that were happening to me with the process of the illness of my father were really strong. So I think my head started waving all those layers that were passing through. And so yes, was one thing that was really important was when we finished the filming phase, like
mm,
the shooting. um, well, that year my father died, and after he died was when I really could write the final script. Like,
mm,
was really interesting because it was after all that things happened for me, and we filmed, and we have the images, and I have the images of the spheres and all the things we saw and everything in my head, that after that I sat down and was like, in 2 weeks I just like I had already, of course, elements of before the the death of my father and everything, but really after that was when I could put all together.
mm,
and and really was really interesting, really like also like magical thing. And that to say you have to really, I think we have to leave some things in life, and then you have this force or power to and wisdom also to put together some things that I
Mm,
think if I hadn't lived what I lived, I couldn't put all these things together. And also, well, the editing to go in that part was really nice. With I worked with Jimena, was a really really good editor, a really good person, really sensitive. That was really
mm,
important for me also, because I had a little bit of at the beginning of resistance to speak about my personal relationship with my father. And I don't know why. Now for me, I'm so happy of having done that. But at the beginning, I had like this resistance, and Jimena was like, here, this part, we want to know a little bit more about your father. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. Yeah, tell us a bit more, because I was like, I thought, I put something, but I didn't develop
mm,
enough, and she helped me to go deeper, and that's, I think, was important in the editing. And yes, it was after like this, the same image of the beginning of the film of the girl trying to put
mhm,
the well, the editing is also like that, because we had like universe of found footage, universe of the little images of archive, the black and white present.
mm,
We have a lot of different layers, and so yeah, it was like a work of
yeah.
putting that together. But I think the voiceover, like the text I wrote in this process that I told you, was really the most, I think, the most important part.
Mm,
um, and yes, it was also, we had to record the voice. It was also an interesting work with my body also, like
mm,
to discover what voice was going to tell that. And it was really a nice experience, moving, but but well,
yeah.
it's part of the process.
Yeah. I really like hearing you talk about the like embodiment of filmmaking itself, because I feel like that it kind of gets discussed but not as much. And also like having space for letting the work come to you at a time when it works best for you. Um and I think you talking about voice actually plays really well into what will probably be my last question for you. Is there's and you can also talk a little bit about cinematography with this question that I'm asking you too. There's the moment after, I think it's right after, I think your writing says like the illness is taking his lungs, um, where there's just that sequence of just like the spheres and the soundscape. And it kind of feels like, it felt to me like this moment of just reverence for your father and for, his life. And so I would just love to hear you talk about how maybe you and Jimena figured out that moment in particular, and then also just the choice in general to have your cinematography and your coloring to be the way that it is for the film.
Mhm, mhm. Wow, really, really good observation
Thank you.
that you, yes, because in fact, it was at the beginning, the film had four chapters,
Mm,
and I didn't spoke about that. I can speak a little bit about that. I don't know. It's something that from the beginning I wrote that in this final script, like returning identity. Uh, in the first version was after identity, illness, and then death.
okay.
And well, we had like discussed if we put the chapters or no, but for me, what they were very important, so I decided no, we were going to keep these chapters like that. But illness was one chapter that she told me. It was one of the chapters that she told me, yes, but you don't, you said the cancer took the lungs, and then he died, so you don't develop the illness. It was like, it was weird, like this part. And then we start making changes, and we put out this illness chapter. And I told her, I don't know, I don't want to speak about this degradation of the body in cancer and everything, but I didn't want to go there. And we said that, well, we have to find um, a metaphorical way also to speak about. And this part that not everybody understand that, I think, is in fact was that it was the part of the death, when, like, of this part of, as you said, like, of silence, when you let go, like
Yeah.
life. And really, also was like these, all these spheres that we put in that sequence. They were chosen because they are like the less, like, there are some places that they are known, and people go see those spheres because they are like in a more public place and everything. But those are the most, like, lost, the ones nobody
Yeah.
sees them and everything. So we said, like, it's like a homenaje, like, to make this, like, ceremony of, we put people in the cinema to see them, to see these ones that no one sees them. And also, like, yeah, like a ceremonial, like, a sequence of memory of those objects, but also is the moment, in fact, that we put, like, in editing of the death, in fact, of
Mhm.
this final moment of, yeah.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And I have to stop now because I probably could ask you so many more questions. It
But
could go on forever.
I didn't speak about the, yeah, just
Oh, the cinematography, yeah.
the color, yeah. That the photograph is Esteban, is also a really top person to work with, really, really nice, really sensitive also. And well, normally he does still photography,
Okay.
and he works a lot on black and white. But I I I didn't choose him just for that. Like, he always has to do black and white, but really, I like a lot black and white in general, also in photography. But here in this case, I was like, when I start working a lot with archaeologists and everything, like, to think there are people that live permanently, or in their work in the past.
Mm.
So, like, their life, or this, when you go in this universe, I see, for people, black and white is more something linked to the past normally.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, it would be interesting to put to give the switch, to have the past in color,
Mm.
like, if past is more alive, like this idea that past is alive to this archaeologist. And the present is like this also. I would I wanted to give this impression of not necessarily to know what time is it, also,
Mm.
like, this, also the spheres have this, like, mystical and surrealistic thing. So I think black and white help to give that mood. And also, of course, Costa Rica is really, like, green and the exotic and everything. And I didn't want also, like, the green and the exotic to take that,
Mm.
because I was working also, like, a mood more nostalgic. And so, of course, black and white helped me to build that feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, I think we'll end the Q&A here. Is there anything else that you want people who are watching this to know about the film, or to know about maybe what you're working on next?
Yes, well, for now, I'm having ideas of things, but I have no project, like, in concrete. I'm working more in an academic path, but I'm working about documentary filming by women in Latin America that use like footage, like archive footage. So I'm writing like a thesis about that. That's so doing like research, but also for putting like for me it's important also that there is research that is done about the films made by women in Latin America, and now there is more and more. So it's good to give that visibility. And I have projects in mind, but for now
Mhm.
I'm chilling a little bit.
Totally understand that. Well, thank you for sharing your film with us here at SF Doc Fest, and thank you for your time. And this was a really
Thank you.
wonderful conversation.
Yes,
Yeah, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And
thank
thanks
you.
everyone for watching this Q&A. The film will be available throughout the festival to watch, so watch it and then maybe tell a friend to watch it.
Yes, please share it. Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you. Okay, I'll stop the